Hey guys, welcome back to the Mind Refinery Podcast. This week we talked to one of Toronto's great chefs and creative minds, the co-owner of True Diner, Suzanne Barr. We're going to talk the effect of COVID on the restaurant industry, reflecting on the last year and opening of True Diner, and her work on her upcoming cookbook. Speaking of Suzanne, the next episode of our culinary series Plated drops soon. We followed her and her partner Johnny as they built True Diner all the way from construction to busy brunch services. The trailer is available on our YouTube channel. And now, without further ado, here's the show. All right, guys, we are here with the talented Suzanne Barr, chef and partner at True Diner. Suzanne, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually at the restaurant, helping out, lending out our space for a friend that's doing some good work in the city during this COVID time. So it's nice to be here with you guys.
Thank you. So how has the lockdown been for you and your partner / husband, Johnny?
To be very, very frank, it's kind of been ebbs and flows, moments of joy, moments of uncertainty, moments of frustration, sadness. It's been a gauntlet of different emotions. But I think we recognize that I think globally everyone's has their version of what I'm saying, and I think we all kind of are being quite gentle with each other. Being in our house together 24 hours a day with our son has been definitely a new aspect of our family life. But I think it's been so welcomed. We've found our peace and serenity within bike rides, within our neighborhood, and short walks when we can. But I think it's just like a gauntlet of different emotional attachment and disattachment, to be very honest with you.
No, absolutely. I found that, with me, it's like you're enjoying the time, but you don't like the reason why you got the time, but you're also anxious to get back like into life and have everything be normal, because obviously there's so much negativity surrounding the whole situation. You guys largely just stayed closed for this, correct?
Yeah, we made that decision, I think, very early on, but not certain if that was going to what that really meant and what that looked like. I think it was our initial decision was obviously government put a mandate in place, but I think we had already suspicions from a week before even the mandate came down from the province. Just listening to what was happening around the world and seeing countries respond in the necessary ways. And I think just also being, cautious of like how we put ourselves and our staff in those positions of comfort and discomfort.
Could you give us an idea of the scale to which this is affecting the restaurant industry?
Oh, I've been in the last several weeks. I've really been privy to quite a bit of conversations between myself, other restaurateurs, managers, bartenders, folks that are not even within the industry. And I think the overall consensus is that I think we've had to, our sector specifically has had to really admit some real truths about our state of vulnerability and how vulnerable we've all been placed in this position. And for those that responded with shutting down and then pivoting by opening up for takeout, it was one reality for some restaurants, but I think for others, there were a few weeks of trying to get it organized and get it set up because, I wouldn't say 50% of restaurants are offering takeout, but I do think that there is a percentage of restaurants that had already had it in place, but still it was really rethinking like what does it mean to be safe in your kitchens and preparing food to then be delivered to your customers and securing their safety and the delivery person's safety. I think there are many aspects of what I think overall restaurants have had to think about, but I think overall it was the safety, the security, the functionability, the realities and the future of what restaurants are going to have to do in situations like this, to readapt.
I think that largely the industry is kind of built on it's a sandcastle in that you know a lot of people think, well, these people who run restaurants, oh, they probably can afford being not working for a month or 2 weeks or whatever, but like margins are so small that even 2 weeks without revenue, it can be disastrous.
Yeah, and I think that's really truly a big part of why I think for so many restaurants that this was a hard reality, is of how the how many of us really do operate our businesses within a month to month basis, and that the revenue stream that is coming in, more than hopefully, you can really expect minimum of 30% is already going to, um, that's already going to your payroll, and then some, is and what that actually means, and how, if you're operating your business month to month, what does savings look like, and what does being prepared and being really prepared to prioritize around a life changing epidemic like this. Like, I don't think anybody was prepared for this. No one, not this industry, not many sectors were prepared. But I think some real realities came to the reality, came to fruition for a lot of people that were like, okay, this this dynamic that we've been doing, whether our restaurant is a new restaurant, whether we've been open for 15 years, 20 years, whatever it might be, we are really truly in a vulnerable place. And it's really hard to grapple that reality when your restaurant's full and it's booming and people are assuming, oh, you're doing well, and maybe you're thinking about opening another location, or maybe you're thinking about bringing on more staff, or maybe you're thinking about expansion and opening up a commissary kitchen. But the reality is, it's just how thin, like you said, the margins are. And yet we do this, and we close restaurants or we reopen restaurants. We, you know, we take these chances as entrepreneurs. We put ourselves out there. We put our families a part of this. We sacrifice our friendships, our relationships, and all of that is, comes down to the love for why we do what we do, the compassion of hospitality and service, and the understanding that this isn't an industry for everyone. And there's a lot of people that fantasize about opening up a restaurant, but I think this is a real time to see how we as an industry will come out of this, and how we respond to these major changes that we're going to have to like assimilate to, in order to be able to, one, potentially reopen doors or shut our doors and close that chapter in our lives for some people. And how do we move forward, and how do we reprogram ourselves in thinking that, okay, this happened, this could happen again, and are we going to be prepared, and are we going to be ready the next time this happens again, or a version of this happens again?
How have you seen some restaurants, kind of adapt to this situation?
It's been a little bit of everything. Across the board, I think everyone has hunkered down. They, made good, honest decisions in the beginning with their their product that was remaining, that was in the restaurant. So I think a lot of restaurants, and catering companies and cafes, made a decision to really, either divvy out their food amongst their team, their staff, so that the product wouldn't go to waste. And then, there were some businesses that, immediately were like, okay, we're going to open up as a relief kitchen, where we're going to feed, not just our staff, but people within the industry that are hungry, and or we're going to donate our foods to food banks and to organizations that can get this food out, so it doesn't go to waste. I think on a larger institution level, a lot of the universities, culinary schools, and programs, they quickly try to, either assemble and figure out how they could get this product out and not have the wastage of it. And then you had the establishments that, like I said, quickly, went into action with, okay, we're going to start doing takeout. And, and I think as you started to see the weeks pass, a lot of people were like, okay, how can we frame our menu to really kind of keep our brand and our restaurant alive? How can we still keep our staff employed? How can we still keep some revenue coming through our door with our doors shut? Some people stayed open. Some people opened and they quickly shut after because they realized that it was too high of a risk and that the cost wasn't really worth it. They were the revenue wasn't enough to sustain it. Some people got really, innovative with like, let's open a portion of our business offering pantry items like flour and toilet paper and things that people were not getting access to quite regularly at their local grocery stores or bodegas or convenience stores. I think people were, I think as we do in this industry, we have to think on our feet and we have to innovate and we have to, in the moment, we have to be prideful. We have to be just. We have to think about how can we quickly pivot so that we can survive. And I think anyone knows that in this industry, it's a really the survivalist attitude that kind of allows you to keep going, because every day you might have a full dining room and the next day you might have two people, and then the next day you might have a full service, booked out service for lunch, dinner, and late night. It just kind of it's a feast and famine. And I think we as entrepreneurs, that's the spirit of what makes why we do what we do so impactful, because it's not everyone that can do this and not everyone that chooses to do this type of work. But for those that do it, it's a high risk, situation. And it's kind of just part of the story and it's part of what it is within this industry.
Well, it's a tough industry even in the best of circumstances.
Yeah.
And, I think there's going to be with this a bit of a Darwinian element, unfortunately, because you're already
Oh,
starting to
completely.
see, good restaurants close down. What do you see as kind of the lasting trends? Like, I mean, what I'm seeing is a lot of, like, for example, businesses using this opportunity to kind of expand their brand beyond the kitchen. Are they marketing their sauces? Are they marketing preserves? Like stuff like that they're putting together, which I think is really cool. But like, what do you see as the changes that are going to come out of this and change the business long term?
Yeah. I think with and I can only really speak on what we're doing here at True True. I can't really give a general consensus overall, because I think every business owner, they have to think about what their goals are and what is their mission behind their establishment. But I know here at True True, we chose not to reopen our doors. I think before even deciding that we weren't going to reopen, I think we closed our doors thinking that, oh, this might be 2 weeks. And even when we were cleaning out the fridges and we were putting our care packages together for our team, we were anticipating like that this might be short lived and this we'll see, we'll be back here and we could envision what's going to come after this. But as the weeks turned from 2 weeks to 3 weeks to a month to now 2 months, it really had us taking some real time to like slow down and rethink and re-envision what we want, where we want the brand to go. I think all of the shifts and changes that we're making here are things that we've always thought about. But these were conversations that Johnny and I had even before opening the doors of what is the mission of True True and where do we want to take this restaurant to, this brand to. Is it a brand? Calling it even a brand is like even new for me. It's not just a name. It's not just a concept. it's, it's now you're thinking about like, how do we want people to think about us, talk about us outside of the restaurant? How do we want reporters to write about us and share about what we're doing in the restaurant, and what's our theme? And we've always wanted to be able to have our guests and our customers feel like this is their local, and that they can come here and they can grab something that is either on menu or off menu, but something that really, really speaks to the conversation that we want to have around comfort food. And that comfort food is, can be enjoyed every day, whether it's you making it at home or coming to True True Diner. But I think that using that as our point of entrance, I think we've really had to like pivot and think, well, what does that look like? Does that mean that we'd be selling our house biscuit recipe, or our house biscuits? Would that be looking at like us making selling our jams, as you're saying, like restaurants are doing preserves and things of that sort? I think, a big part of my early work in food really stems with working within a bakery, and having my first bakery as my first business after graduating from culinary school, and really offering delicious pastries that I felt were really truly some of the best pastries that I could create and that I would offer. So I think that every business and every individual, whether you're a large franchise, a restaurant group, an independent person, like you really have to look into, where do you feel like your voice is going to be the most impactful as we grow in this industry. But I think there's another conversation that we'll get to within this call, in regards to the overall perspective and the desires that we want to offer as restaurants, and what we want to contribute to the industry, because I think that that's another part of the conversation that we're all having right now, or some of us are listening to hear what people are saying and how people are responding, and what we feel is our conversations that aren't happening.
I think if there's one good thing that can come out of all of this, it's your biscuit recipe and the physical biscuits themselves being given to more of the population. Be fantastic. So this whole
I
thing,
appreciate that.
there, literally, I was like, it just disintegrated in my mouth in a buttery cataclysm. So, I mean, I was really stunned when we were doing the episode of Plated and following, you putting together True True Diner, how the amount of work that went, the amount of work, the amount of thought that went into it. So when you look at the back of the last year, what was the most challenging thing for you, opening up, now that you've kind of had a chance to kind of sit and reflect?
um where where would I say I can begin? I think, letting go of, honestly, I think letting go of maybe some of our ideas that we were hopeful that this restaurant could morph into. And I say that because, when we opened Saturday Dinette, our first project, that was myself and Johnny, and that was our creative energy together, crafting and molding and making that restaurant all that it was. True True is our first endeavor together with a third party partner, and I think that part for me was very uncertain for a few reasons. One, not necessarily knowing our partners for that long, and two, not really knowing how to bring about a concept with another person that has their own experiences, their own drive, their own focus and ideas of what makes a good restaurant, or what makes a good concept work. And I think letting go of maybe some of our not our ideals, but I think just letting go of some of the moments where I was like, I'm not gonna not do this, and being open to like, okay, maybe there's some power, maybe there's some reason why this could actually work, and really, choosing your battles, fighting for things that are really important, and allowing my voice and our voice to be very much heard in lots of negotiations. But I think overall, and is letting go of this feeling that I have to be in control of certain decisions that need to be made and allowing them to develop and fall into place as most things eventually do. You know, I want to guide, I had dreams of guiding this in a direction that was so very specific to the work that I'm stepping into right now. And it changed a bit. It changed for many reasons. It changed because this wasn't just me and Johnny, and that this was also not necessarily the right space for some of that to come about. And I think that, you know, letting go of like this feeling that it has to be this way or no way was a huge lesson that I'm, as we're sitting at home, really processing the last 6-7 months, you know, really thinking about all that has happened, all the staff that has come and gone, all of the decisions that needed to be made, all of the versions of our menu that really kind of pushed us to go deeper and really think it through what this concept was about has allowed us to, this time has really allowed us to just let go and be like, okay, it's been an evolution of trusting in the people that we work with, trusting in the realities of working as within a partnership, and trusting in our decisions that we know what we know is what we know, but what we don't know, we don't know. You know, and if that makes any sense, I don't really know, but like
No, it
it
does,
really
absolutely.
it really kind of enlightened me after walking away from my first project, questioning what did I do wrong, to then opening this and thinking, what don't I want to do again wrong so that this doesn't work? Like, how do I make this work better than what it was before? But what it was before was nothing. I mean, this is a totally, completely a new concept. And I think we have all of the tools that we needed. I think the greatest thing that I have really, really is letting go and trusting that, you know, what will be is going to be. And we will come out of this and we will find a way.
I think it's hard anytime it's not, you're not just working at the place. Your livelihood and, you know, what you're doing with your time and with your family is dictated by the success of the restaurant and, you know, what's going on with the restaurant. So, you know, when you're giving up power, it's always difficult because it feels like you're not in control of your own life. That, I mean, it's tough. I think, you know, when I talk to any entrepreneur or business owner, especially in culinary, especially when there's a vision, trusting people to, it's hard to trust people when it's your expression and your livelihood, because it's like the two things put together. It's like your ego and your pocketbook.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I think ego is a huge thing that I recognize that is a part of, as an entrepreneur, there is a huge ego that has to almost lead you in the very beginning. Not necessarily in a negative way, but you have to have some guts to do this, to put yourself and to put the sacrifices out there and to be a bit vulnerable.
You have to
And
believe in
to,
yourself. Like
you
that's
gotta,
like you have to have the hubris to believe in yourself that I can do this.
yeah. And even when you feel scared and even when you feel alone, you know, you find that strength within to keep propelling forward and to keep it going. And the harder you fight, the more that you find that you're not alone, and you recognize really quickly that, you know, whether this idea is something that is ongoing and that actually has a real longevity there, and then people can actually also believe in what you're expressing. It's humbling to know that this work that I'm doing right now is probably won't be the work for the rest of my life, but in this exact moment, going through all of these shifts and pivots and changes and realignments, it's just kind of like me recognizing that it's such a living document and like I'm living my life right now,
Yeah.
and that life is going to take me in one direction and then it's going to take me in another direction, and wherever I'm leading, I just want to just continue to follow and inspire and be inspired and find a way to really listen and impact through my work and through the things that I really enjoy doing.
Do you catch yourself having too much control?
It's like, it's funny. I feel like I was in it. I had an interview maybe a few years back, and someone asked me, like, are you a controlling person? And I was like, immediately I answered, not at all. Like, I do not care about control. I'm not and, and that is a true Leo speaking through and through, saying that I do not,
Yeah.
that I do not like being in control, because, I think when I thought about that, responding to that question, I think I thought that I was this very outspoken, loudmouth, like determined, very aggressive person, and saying this is how it's got to be. And that's not necessarily what control always looks like. And that doesn't, yeah, there's a version of control for sure in that, but there's also this other version of me feeling like I need to have a control, and that I need to have myself activated in a way that is like, no, I'm doing the thing that I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, oh shit, that's control. That's me taking control of the moment. But maybe it's not as bad as what people are saying it is, but it's not a bad thing. I think it's just some real true self-awareness. And it took me a couple years to really understand and recognize that, oh no, I know I need to be in control. And as I look at my last 14 years in this industry, I'm like, yep, that's kind of, I've been there. Like, yep, I wanted to be in control in that situation and in that situation, and I have power in that situation. And they've all, every situation in this last 14 years of my life have been so fucking incredible, and some high and lows moments. But I think overall it's just making time now, making space now, and seeing and having these self-aware moments where I can catch myself and ask myself the question, like, like, what is the goal by me having this final word? Or what is the impact if I don't get the way that I think I need it to be? Is it going to change me, change this feeling, this action? Why is this so important that this has to be this way? So
I think
yeah.
control is an interesting thing because there's different levels of it. Just like with power, there's different levels of it. There's like a Machiavellian application of it, and then there's are using your power to create opportunities. But with control, there's a difference between like micromanaging and being like a conductor or like a creative director. For seeing you in action, it seems more like you don't care where the good idea comes from. And I think that's a sign of having like kind of a secure ego. Whereas some people have to be, the stereotypical chef enfant terrible, where they have to control all aspect of down to, what the garde manger is doing. Right.
And I think, even in those moments and I appreciate you saying that, but it's, it's like, I even think about my working relationship with my partner, with Johnny. We made a very clear decision when we decided to open our restaurants together, is that you man the front of the house, I've got the back of the house. Whatever decisions you make for the front of the house is your decision. Whatever the back of the house decisions, I make those decisions. But in this space with True, it was, and not that our partners really kind of were like on us to do it one way, or that they had another opinion. I think we were just really trying to work in a collaborative way with our partners, and we still are, and we're doing it in a way that really gives us both space to voice our opinions, but also to be able to lead our team in a way that we feel will, in the ultimate goal, would be for us to grow and for them to grow within our business and for the business to grow. So, it's like in this time that I have had off, like recognizing that doesn't just have to be, and that's not always the case. Like sometimes I might be in the front of the house and seeing something, and maybe the servers might need some support, or back of the house, they might need support. And Johnny would say something, and understanding that, like, it can't just be so black and white. You do this, you do that, because that's not that's not really realistic, and like our roles and our positions have they've just shifted over the years.
It's
And
inflexible is what I think it is. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because you can't adapt. Like, it's different when you're working at like a unionized hotel, which is
absolutely.
regimented down to the job, right?
Right.
In a restaurant, it's more of a fluid thing where everyone kind of has to understand what everyone does, but be willing to jump in and support what's going on. And I feel the kitchens I've been in that didn't work didn't grasp that. It was always,
Right.
that's not my job, or blah 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 blah.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you survive together.
Right.
And I think it's just, I think you have to know each other well and know your team well and each other well in order to do that effectively.
We're still so young, like when we really put it, into perspective, how long we've been open and what we've been able to do. Like, I feel like literally right before we shut our doors, due to COVID, we started to really see a rise in, customer base. Um, we started to see a rise in the morale, a shift in morale lift of our team, and we also saw a shift in my role and Johnny's roles, and who was supportive to our team in other ways. And it's kind of like we have so much more that we want to get accomplished. And I am really hopeful that coming out of all of this, that we can find a real path that will allow for our team to like be reactivated, because being dormant for so long, like, you kind of forget about that pace, that tempo that we in the industry get so accustomed to, and we almost like live, die, and breathe for when we have a busy service. To like, I'm really hopeful that we don't go back to a state of where, yeah, in the very early months, we were really kind of, like slow, and it was, people still didn't know who we were. People were still questioning what we had to offer. But I'm really hopeful that, like, coming out of all of this, that we'll find our rhythm quite quickly, and we will, obviously we'll have to make the shifts that are required as per the province in order to abide by the new rules of COVID-19. So, it's going to be an interesting, coming of weeks as we really, really maneuver into what it looks to really reopen, and to, offer, our products back to the customers, here. So we'll see. We'll see.
Do you have trouble staying present at home during times like this because your mind is wandering onto, oh, what could I be doing? Oh, maybe we could do this and maybe we could do that. Because like when I'm at home doing stuff, like, me and my girlfriend will be having dinner and talking, and my brain will just start thinking about something that I could be doing to make this better. Or I do find it hard to be present sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to be honest, right now, I feel like I'm the most present I've been in a few in many months, to be honest. And I say that because I feel like I've been running for a while. I mean, when we started filming Plated, I was working on another project full time, and this project was, starting to build up and starting to go. And in addition to working on my first cookbook, I had many things that were have been going on for me. And now that everything, with the exception of kind of the book, has kind of been put on the back burners, like, it has allowed me to kind of be a bit more quiet in my head, and find myself to actually sit with Johnny and not just talk to him about, the restaurant and what's going on and what we need to do, but finding time for us to kind of remember that we're lovers, and that we have a partnership, and that we have a son that is getting older, and his need for us and his access to us has really increased over the last 2 months. And having time to like call and reconnect with friends that I haven't seen in like years, or spoken to in years. And so, it's like, when I'm in it, when we're in our flow pre-COVID, like, the last few months have been really chaotic for me. And I'm just grateful to finally be at a tempo that has allowed me to like just breathe a lot and to make real time listen and not do a fucking thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Like really truly, like I'm not thinking about, I'm not having to process like, okay, who's not coming in, or is the schedule ready for next week, and what holiday is coming up, or do we have um, Mother's Day preparation? Are we prepped? Do we have a catering event? Do we have a special? And it's been like this constant for me that I welcome. Like in the beginning, I don't think I was so welcoming of this because I was more nervous. Like, what is this actually going to feel like to just be still for a minute? But
Oh,
I
I
welcome.
had a full on anxiety attack because of it. Like I'm like
Exactly.
what like immediately my brain started populating what to do with the time.
Yes.
Then it's like, okay, how am I prioritizing this? If I'm sitting playing a video game, do I feel guilty about it?
Yes.
You know what I mean? If I smoke that
Yes.
extra joint today, am I feeling guilty about it? It's really, especially because I don't think I've ever seen you be idle before.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think the closest thing was you sitting and doing our interview and having a glass of wine. That
Yeah.
was like that was it. Um, so you mentioned the book. When do you decide it's time to do a cookbook?
Oh, dude, I did not decide this.
Oh,
I
really?
did not. I did not. I honestly did not seek for this. And not that I'm not grateful, Penguin Random, if you're listening, thank you very much.
Mm.
No, but like really, truly, like I created like I have a friend who she's a reporter that became a friend, or a journalist that became a friend, and we had the opportunity of doing a podcast when I was at the dinette about my mom and about food and what my family's Sunday night dinners look like. And so she has a podcast called A Sunday Night Dinner, and it really allowed us to kind of just get to know each other in a different way, and it was really really great, and then we stayed in contact. And then when I was beginning my first few weeks at the Natural Gourmet, not the Natural Gourmet, at the Gladstone Hotel, I was you know really thrilled to like invite her in because I was doing my mother's food, my mother and father's food. I was doing Jamaican cuisine, but with my own interpretation of it. And it was maybe a month in of the residency that she came and we sat and we started talking. And she was like, "I really think there's something really powerful here." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "I think that it would be amazing if we could write about your story of like really creating this menu for your mom, and how your relationship with your mom has really impacted you becoming a chef." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, okay, that'd be cool. Like that would be fun." Like, and we wrote something together really quickly. And she had a contact at Penguin Random House, and it turns out that her contact was actually, she was an editor and was a regular customer at the dinette. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, yes." And they were like, "Okay, can you put together a more formal book proposal?" And so then we took photographs. We did like a 13 to 15 page book proposal. We submitted it, and were gassed. On top of that, they were like, "This is great. We love this, but we want to hear your story. We want to hear more about, almost like a bit of your memoirs. Why did you become a chef? What does food mean to you and your family?" So the original book proposal concept was really just new Jamaican cuisine. Was kind of the concept. That was what I wanted to present. And it shifted from it being about new Jamaican cuisine to it just being a book about me coming back home to Canada as an adult, getting married, having a child, opening a restaurant, and my career that has just followed behind me as I've been just pushing through with these incredible people in my life that have inspired me, and stories that have been with me that I'm sharing. So it really wasn't something that I was kind of seeking. I just kind of like really went with the idea of like, oh, this could be fun. Like, we had talked about maybe putting a cookbook together for the dinette, but we were really envisioning like more of a snapshots of like a table, a coffee table book
Mm-hmm.
that would really kind of be a collection of our Instagram photos of our brunch and people's favorite dishes. But that never happened. So as this started to really build up and get a bit more serious, and then the final book signing, it was like, oh wow, this is actually happening. Like I'm actually signing a contract to write my memoirs. Like this is insane. So I'm grateful that these magical moments keep happening to me in my life, and people that have come into my life that have really been such a huge part of them, that have like helped to really nurture them in a way to allow me to just keep on my path and keep on my grind. It's been like it's really been it's quite incredible and inspiring. And Suzanne Hancock is someone that she's definitely someone that will be a part of my family for the rest of my life.
What kind of headspace does that put doing a book like this put you in? Like, do you get super reflective?
It's every the way that we have decided our approach in writing is it's a few different ways. Like I write on my own. I do a lot of free thought, free thinking writing. To us having our one-on-one sessions over the phone. We used to meet weekly, but due to COVID, we have now had to shift our physical meeting to just our weekly conversations. And I think that every day it's a little different. To be honest, like if we're writing about maybe my mom, um, is I find that sometimes it's quite emotional. I don't always share so much of myself to people that I don't know, and I think in the weeks and months that we've been working together, Suzanne and she's definitely I've opened up to her in ways that I think a lot of people don't know about me, and recognizing really quickly that she needs as much information to be able to really help tell my story. So the more honest and just vulnerable I could be is sometimes some of the best writing that I think she can use to help put this book together. And I reflect on like one of the days she asked me like, what are the 10 life changing moments in your life? And I was like, okay, da, 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 da. And then I was like, oh, but then there was this. Oh, but then there was this. It's almost like starting to listen to me speaking about my life, and really kind of floating over these conversations and starting to see the threads that keep coming, that tie this all together, and how my connection and my relationship with my mom, um, even though she has been gone for over 20 years now, that it doesn't matter even in her absence. My life that I lived, there's so many parallels, um, and there's so many moments that I wish she could have been there to see. But I think that I also share that with her, that there were so many moments in her life that I wish that I was around to see. But that's not the reality that I was been faced with. But I think it's yeah, it's many self-reflection. It's also a lot of sadness. It's also a lot of like laughter. It's a lot of like moments of like, holy shit, that happened. And even sharing about my relationship with Johnny and how we met, and just like some unbelievable magical moments that have happened in my life, and I'm just like, what the hell? And just being so much gratitude, so much gratitude.
Last thing I want to kind of talk about is just what are the goals when you do something like that? Because I know you said you didn't, it wasn't something you considered right away, but now that you're in it, what do you want a person reading the Suzanne Barr story to, to say and to get from it?
uh, Um,
I just
I
go
don't know
full. I just go
yet.
full. I just go full Oprah on it.
I know. Honestly, I don't know. Like we're not close to being done. I mean, we have our date to submit our first version of the book is was in August, but it probably will be pushed to maybe September. But I don't know. I mean, it's not like I'm, some household name. Like, it's not like I have achieved everything that I want to achieve in my life yet. I feel like it's just this is just the start of so much more that I know that I'm going to be a part of in my lifetime.
Well, I guess that's difficult because like you're writing kind of a memoir, but you're not.
Yeah,
You're not. You're
exactly.
not old.
I'm not old. I'm 40. I'm 43 years old, and I still have so much to give. But I guess what I what I have seen up to this point in my life has really been just a glimpse into many, I would say, many first generation immigrant kid stories of reflecting back to your parents, your grandparents, your aunties and uncles, and your heritage and your rituals that you did, and how that really plays into to the years that you go through from your 20s to your 30s, and now me in my 40s, and becoming a parent. And I think overall being a parent has, for a lot of people it shifts. It's just like you literally come home and your life begins again when you become a parent. And I think there's that part of who I knew I was going to be before becoming Miles's mom, and now my life of who I'm going to be being Miles's mom is it's changing. It's changed. And so it's hard to say, like I feel like right now I'm in the thick of it all, the writing, and there's so many more chapters ahead to write, and what those chapters will how they will inspire me and in the work that I'm doing right now is quite which is exciting because I don't really know what to expect in the next coming of weeks and months with having with having COVID happen in my lifetime, and during my lifetime while going through writing a memoirs and opening up another restaurant. It's gonna be definitely a beautiful depiction of where I was while I wrote, and how I found my voice in a way that really can lead someone to want to even read my book. Like I'm just kind of like I can't even like I don't even see the cover like right now. Like I'm still kind of like, damn, I have so much more to say and so much more to do. But I do think that it's been a really awesome journey, and I feel like I'm either at the summit or just like we're getting up the first mountain, and we're gonna get over this, and then we'll get to the summit and we'll head down again, and then we'll go up again. But we'll see how it goes.
On that note, Suzanne Barr, thank you so much for your time and your talents.
Thank you so much for your allowing me to just be here with you guys and sharing a bit of where my head is at, and where we are as a I don't know, where we are right now in this world, and so much that has already changed in the last 2 months to where I thought we would be to where we're going. And even now, I don't even know where we're going.
Well, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Just a reminder, if you like this podcast and want to keep hearing it, subscribe and give us a 5-star review. And if you're not already subscribing to our YouTube channel or following us on social media, get on it. You will not regret it.